this is a review for Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. I just finished reading it. Um, I really like Cassandra Clare's first book, the first series, the Mortal Instrument series. Um, but my biggest complaint is that she seems to have built the characters exactly the same. I mean, Tessa is still falling for Jace. Oh, did I say Jace? I'm sorry, I meant Will. They're almost exactly the same personality wise. The only difference seems to be the situations that are attached to specific personality quirks. And while that's interesting, that is the main reason why I want Tessa to fall for Jem and not Will. Because it's not that I don't like Will, it's that I don't like formula writing. And if it turns out that she does pick um, Will over Jem, then I think I'm going to have to drop this author and just say, oh, well, if I ever want to read her again, I can just stick with this series because it's just as good as the other ones. And it's basically the same thing. The thing people don't realize is that character personalities and interactions are one of the, they're basically the most important thing in a story. They are what keeps the ball rolling. Even if you have a good plot, if you have poorly written characters, then there are going to be a lot of people that hate it, and there are going to be a lot of people that don't like it as much. And even if you have a poor plot or like one basic, very thin, undeveloped sort of plot, that's something that can be fixed and that your editor can probably brainstorm with you and put in more ideas, but filling out characters is like it's harder for an editor to do that, to change the fundamentals of your characters. And good characters can carry a very basic, boring plot, um, as long as, but it and it frustrates me. And I think one of Claire's problems is that she wrote fan fiction before she started working on her novels, and I'm not knocking on fan fiction. She wrote Harry Draco fan fiction, and it's obvious that Jace and Will are Draco, and Tessa and Clary are Harry. It's very obvious to me. And the problem with fan fiction, um, two things. It doesn't give you any exercise in world building, which Cassandra Clare is actually pretty good at, so that's a surprise. And it doesn't give you much as far as character development. Even if you have um, even if you have an original character, um, so that's just one character, and most of the time, you're focusing on characters that someone else has created, and even if you can carry that out well, you still don't have that. You still don't get as much practice as you could. And even though her characters seem real, she's being repetitive, and being repetitive can be just as bad for a career overall as having bad characters. And um, it it just shows where she needs work, and it's just her popping out more of the same stuff. And it like I would rather have the same plot, like the same sort of plot, formula plot of City of Bones and that with different characters than I would a different plot with the same sort of characters. And she hasn't even done that. still the same sort of plot, and it has the same sort of turn. And it's not a bad book. It's a good book. It's a good read, but if you're critical like me, or if you want to see her change as a writer more than just the technicalities, then I think you'll be disappointed. And if you don't want to have to deal with that, then you might as well just read City of Bones and all of them again. It is steampunky, and that's really cool. Um, and I really like the research and how like the characters look different. I just was very disappointed by this book. Um, and I'm sorry if you're watching, Cassandra, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, of course, but that's just how I personally feel. And if anyone's going to combat me on this or whatever, please be civil. And I please be civil. Yes. Don't get into bitch fights over blah blah blah. Will's a great person. Oh my god, I would love to be with him. It, I'm kind of afraid of saying this, but the whole Will Jace thing is actually a stereotypical character type. Um, like they're sort of two archetypical character types, or that teenage girls are particularly drawn to. And one is the perfect popular guy that everyone is after, that the average girl goes for. And teenage girls like this because it shows that they, who generally consider themselves the average girl, can get the guy that everyone wants, and that makes girls feel better about themselves. And then the other one that Will and Jace are, they're the guy that is basically mean to everyone, that no one wants to hang around and no one can deal with except for the main character, who is generally an average girl. And this also makes girls feel special because they are the only one. And I fall prey to that too. I actually kind of like to be like the only one who can deal with this guy and whatever as far as reading. But I also know it's kind of bad writing to just stick with that. And um, basically, if you want to make it good or twist it, then basically write a list of characters of either one of these, or pick an archetype, and then cut out half of them and reverse that half or whatever. Because generally there will be like a contradiction or whatever, like for the popular guy. He's popular, but he doesn't want the attention. Well, let's make it more interesting. He's popular, and he wants the attention, and it can cause so much more drama, and it can further the plot even more. Or say he's the unpopular guy, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like just a select group of people or whatever instead of just one person. And it's about being brought into that group of people. So instead of just gaining a guy, you're gaining friends. Um, so I'm not sure if I want to recommend Clockwork Angel. If you're into steampunk, I would recommend it. If you don't like formula writing, I would not recommend it. And if you like YA and you like girls falling for the unpopular guy that is rude to everyone and there's always a sarcastic comeback, well then go for it. You'll adore it. But if you don't want to have to wait, then I suggest City of Bones and all of that instead, because the last book is probably going to be coming out sometime soon, but the main trilogy has really summed it up nicely. I was very surprised when I learned there would be another one.